Let's dive into cyber risk and ask a really unsettling question. What if the very financial models that are supposed to be protecting our entire global economy are completely blind to the biggest threats we face today? And that leads us to this central, honestly terrifying question. What if all these complex tools, the ones built to predict risk and safeguard trillions of dollars, are all based on a world that just doesn't exist anymore? And look, this isn't just some abstract idea. This warning comes from the absolute top of the financial world. Jamie Dimon is basically saying our compass for navigating the future is built by looking in the rearview mirror. And when you're talking about cyber risk, that is a recipe for absolute disaster. To really get why this is so critical, you have to understand that cyber risk isn't just an update to the old financial threats we know. No, it's a completely different beast, and it demands a whole new way of thinking. So what makes cyber risk so weird? Well, the threat exists in two places at once. It's in the data itself, you could call that the message, and it's also in the networks that carry it, the medium. This double whammy makes it fundamentally different from anything we've ever had to model before. And that really shows you the true scale of this change. We're not just adding a new line item to our risk assessment. We're talking about a threat that can completely swallow the old ones whole. I mean, physical trading floors are literally becoming museums. The real action and the real risk, it's all happening in cyberspace now. So if the nature of the risk has completely changed, what's the most unpredictable, the most dangerous part of it all? Well, it's us, people. This quote just nails the problem. A physicist gets to model the laws of the universe, which are consistent. But in finance, you're trying to model the chaotic, irrational, totally unpredictable behavior of human beings. It's a whole different ballgame. So just how big of a deal is this human factor? Get this, a staggering 73% of security incidents are caused by insiders. We're not even talking about shadowy hackers in a basement somewhere. We're talking about employees, former staff, and even trusted partners. And if you break it down even further, the threat is often coming from the places you'd least expect, the places with the most trust. Finance departments, middle management, people working right there in the office. These are the folks with the keys to the kingdom. You know, we have made this exact mistake before. The financial models that failed so spectacularly back in 2008 were torn apart for ignoring the human element. The critical point here is, if we repeat that same mistake in today's hyper-connected world of cyber risk, the fallout could be exponentially worse. All right, enough with the concepts for a second. Let's look at the cold, hard data. What does this digital battlefield actually look like in numbers? Back in 2015, 90%, that's 9 out of 10, large organizations suffered a security breach. And that number was up from 81% just the year before. So you can see this clear and frankly frightening acceleration. But here's the thing, not all data is created equal. If you really want to understand what's motivating these attacks, you just have to follow the money. On the black market, a stolen credit card number is worth maybe $1. A stolen electronic health record, 50 times that. And here's exactly why. The FBI lays it out pretty clearly. Health records are the absolute jackpot for identity thieves. They have everything you need for total fraud. Your personal details, your credit info, your health data, all bundled up in one convenient package. This makes the entire healthcare industry a huge, high-value target. Okay, so we've got a new kind of risk. It's driven by unpredictable humans, and it has very real consequences. Now, let's turn to the tools we're actually using to fight it, and why they might just be our biggest vulnerability of all. The big one, the dominant model in finance, is called value at risk, or VAR. It's basically designed to tell a bank, okay, we are 99% confident we won't lose more than X million dollars tomorrow. But here's the analogy that makes it all clear. VAR is great at telling you it probably won't rain more than an inch. What it doesn't tell you about is the hurricane that's hiding in that other 1% of probability. That hurricane, in finance, they call that tail risk. These are the low probability but massive impact events. By focusing only on that safe 99%, VAR is completely blind to the kind of black swan event that can bring down the entire system. And that is exactly the kind of risk we're facing in our interconnected cyber world. And at the same time, the battlefield itself is changing at a mind-boggling speed. Encryption that we once thought was secure for thousands of years is now being cracked in just a few. This arms race is just getting faster and faster, leaving our backward-looking models in the dust. And on the horizon, there's a threat that represents a complete paradigm shift: quantum computing. This isn't just a faster computer, folks. It's a fundamentally new way of processing information that threatens to shatter our entire security infrastructure.
I mean, listen to this quote from the IEEE. It is absolutely chilling. The 1024-bit encryption that protects so much of our digital lives today, a standard that would take a classic supercomputer ages to break, a quantum computer could factor it in a matter of seconds. Just poof, instantly obsolete.
So, if our models are broken and the future is fundamentally unpredictable, what on earth are we supposed to do? Well, it requires one last really crucial shift in how we think about all this. And this is really the key takeaway from all of this. We need to just abandon this obsession with trying to predict the future. It's a fool's errand. Instead, we have to build our systems, our strategies, our entire mindset around a new idea: the anticipation of surprise. We have to assume the unexpected is going to happen. This quote just captures the new philosophy perfectly. It's about building resilience. It's about accepting that uncertainty is a fact of life and preparing for it, instead of being paralyzed by a false sense of security from our broken models. And that really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. In this new era of constant surprise, maybe the hackers and the malware aren't actually the ultimate threat. Maybe our greatest risk of all is our own dangerous and, frankly, delusional belief in certainty.